everybody? We're back. Happy Thanksgiving, day after Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday. If you see this today, you're obviously not out shopping, but if you listen after, happy Thanksgiving, Black Friday. Connor, how you feeling?
It's a good day. Well rested. Had some nice football games yesterday, and I think we got a lot of exciting things to look forward to. I know we got the USA World Cup game coming on in a few, but we're here to talk about football, so I'm ready to get into this.
Oh yeah, I forgot to put it on for the game. I'll have to do that. Yeah, so let's just jump right into it real quick. We'll keep it short and sweet for y'all. I know it's a Friday. I know it's Black Friday. People are out doing things, but let's hop right into it. We got Ohio State minus 7.5 against Michigan. I believe this is in Columbus, in the shoe. Ohio State's getting 7.5. And I'll just say how I feel off the jump. Neither one of these teams are fantastic at covering. Ohio State 5-1 ATS on the season, Michigan 6-5. I think the biggest thing for me right now is if Blake Corum plays this weekend. I don't think that Michigan. I think that he has done a lot for Michigan and has been very instrumental in how, in their 11-0 season. You know what I mean? I think that if he plays, I still think that Ohio State wins this game outright. I'll just say that right now. I don't know about the 7.5 if he plays. I'd be more comfortable taking the 7.5, like in favor of Ohio State if he didn't play. If Blake Corum plays, I'd probably lean Michigan to cover the 7.5. Michigan is 2-1 away, has been an underdog yet this season. Ohio State 2-1 at the shoe, and 5-5 is the favorite. How do you feel about this one, Connor?
Yeah, I had pretty much the same exact thoughts going into this. Corum is going to be kind of the big deciding factor as to how this game goes for Michigan. Like 8 points, like is it factoring him into the game? I'm not totally sure about that, but I think based on, like, say you go off of last year's matchup, Michigan ran the ball down their throats and were able to get the job done because of how the run game kind of predicated the rest of the team's performance. Now, without Corum on the field, potentially, that could make things a little bit iffy. I think I've been looking at a lot of like total predictions for this game, and a lot of them have Ohio State putting up points in the 50s.
Really?
And yeah, and you've kind of mentioned it, Big Ten unders, except Ohio State and Michigan. I'm going to go with the over here. I think with or without Corum, Michigan will be able to put up enough points to kind of supplement what Ohio State's electric offense is going to do in this matchup. I think 56 is a reasonable number for both teams to give a little on both sides of the ball and put up enough points to make things exciting here.
Yeah, I would agree. It's just that like these teams have done not the best at putting up numbers against lesser opponents. Now I know that's like they're get this game. Everybody gets up for this one. Ohio State for their total. Michigan is 2-8-1 for the over on the season. Ohio State 8-3. For the over on the season in their historic matchups. The over has gone over every time. It's just a matter of what the number looks like. I did my shout out to my new show, the South End Zone with Chad. We had one of the members of Men of Order on, who is a resident of Columbus and a massive Ohio State fan, and he was seeing this game more of like a 20 points apiece kind of matchup, like that mid-20s. So we're set at 55, so that's a decent number. You know what I mean? Like if it's 28-26, this number cashes. No, that's a lie. We need it to be a little bit higher. That's tough. I thought it was 50, not 55. I'm sorry. It's tough for me because like I feel like a lot of people are going to expect massive, massive points, but these teams have shown that they can be held to low total numbers. You know what I mean? I don't really have it. Honestly, I don't have a take on the total. I'm just going to leave that alone entirely. My feelings for this are very conditional. If Corum plays, I'll take Michigan to cover this number here. And if he doesn't, then I'm just gonna have to stay away. It's just a lot going on with these teams. They don't cover that well against just in this during this season, and so I know that's not a very good answer, but I'm gonna lean with Michigan if Corum plays, and I might even lean the under, but I'm not gonna make make anything strong there. I just wanted to hear your thoughts. These rivalry games are very interesting. You know what I mean? Anything could happen, especially in the shoe. So yeah, I'm gonna lean under and lean Michigan if Corum plays. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. Another game that is going to be very interesting after South Carolina absolutely routed Tennessee last weekend. They go to play their rival. Well, not so much of a rival as Clemson has owned this matchup, the past couple of years. The past five, just absolutely made this, a slaughter. How do you feel about this one, Connor?
It's interesting. It's a bit weird, like given the fact that South Carolina, like as you mentioned, did blow out Tennessee this past week, and we've mentioned that Clemson isn't the strongest team this season, especially like given their kind of like history in the Dabo Sweeney era. So them getting like 14 and a half, or what is it, 14 and a half? Yeah. Yeah. Is like kind of like bizarre considering like all the circumstances. Um, South Carolina from last week, and then kind of Clemson pretty much over this whole season. So I don't know. It's iffy for me. I think that this is kind of a public overreaction. I see a lot of money on Carolina plus the points. It's kind of them just reacting off of last week blowing out Tennessee, but kind of digging into things, the Clemson defensive line, they'll be able to muck it up and really get after Spencer Rattler, who, yes, he is used to getting a lot of pressure, but not necessarily the overall NFL talent that Clemson has to offer on the defensive side of the ball. We have like a Tigers team that leads the ACC in tackles for loss, and on the season allows 104 rushing yards per game. So this could really put things in the hands of Spencer Rattler. Like if he can make a lot of things happen with his arm, I think that could spell good things for South Carolina. But I think the likelihood of that is less favorable than favorable. Like I tend to not think he will perform like this like consistently well, given like the sample size of his college career. So I'm taking. I feel like Clemson's going to smack them. They're at home. This is a big in-state rivalry, even though like the tail of the tapes over pretty much the entire history doesn't spell too well. But I think Clemson will get up for this in-state rivalry game. And I know the student sections value this matchup and kind of really hate each other with very passionately. So I think Clemson will get up for this one and blow the doors off this South Carolina Gamecocks team.
Yeah, I personally actually really like the over here. I think that both teams, like as you've seen, when Beaver ball works, it puts up 60 points on Tennessee. Now, obviously, Tennessee lacks a defense and has this entire season. You just mentioned that Clemson actually has one, but 52 is not asking. You're talking like if it's like 40-20, that's fine. You know what I mean? You don't have to ask a lot out of Spencer Rattler and the Gamecocks here for the total. I think that South Carolina is not going to be able to keep Clemson out of the end zone. So I like the over here. 52.5 is a decent number here, and I'm willing to roll with it. Yeah, my take is the over. Yeah, I don't know how you feel about the total, but I'm liking the over.
I mean, if I'm taking Clemson to cover, kind of have to be siding with the over here.
That's true.
They'll need to put up a lot of points in order to get that spread covered. So, I mean, one leads to the other. So yes, I would be siding with you there.
All right. So I told you guys we're keeping it short for y'all. I know we know it's Friday. We know it's Black Friday. We know the World Cup is matchup between the USA and England's about to kick off. So we're keeping it rolling. right into Alabama minus 22 against Auburn. I think this line is absolutely preposterous given the new life that Auburn has under Coach Cadillac Williams. I think that if Brian Harsin was still the head coach down in Auburn, I think that this is completely fine. It is in Bryant Denny Stadium, which I do get. Like, even though these teams are not really playing for much at this time, usually the Iron Bowl always has some significance from time to time. But I think that you know given what Cadillac Williams has been able to do in the short amount of time now that's given this it's I think it's more just like the team had kind of checked out under Harsin and now they're back to keep playing for Cadillac. I think that 22 is a coverable number for Auburn. I'm not necessarily calling any upsets here by any means. I think that 22 is just in general is a big number for a team like Alabama who's only 5-6 on the season against the spread.
Yeah, I agree. Like the spread's a little ridiculous. I think it's just more so this is Alabama at home. Nick Saban is still the head coach. So that's probably where the line's priced and put where it's at. I'm leaning over here. I think kind of like as you said, the resurgence of Auburn under Caddy, like it definitely gave them some new life. And I think off the scrimmage game that Alabama had against Austin Peay last week definitely was a little bit peculiar. Like, yes, they didn't give up a single point, but that was Austin Peay, not necessarily like the SEC talent that you're generally like used to seeing them play against. So I think that kind of like puts a couple things in my mind. The defense might be sleepwalking into this game, and generally hasn't been that great this season. Not the Alabama defense that we have known of late. That combined with the life that Auburn has with Cadillac at the helm, and also Alabama with any sort of like a very, very slim chance of making the playoff. Like it is potentially still possible.
Yeah, some crazy things have to happen, but it is still technically possible.
Yeah, it's still possible. I think so they're still playing for something here. I'm liking the over. I think like Auburn, I feel like they'll play very fast, very loose. Either like a lot of big plays, possibly some turnovers, maybe pick six here. That could be decent value play if you have a book with those lines. But yeah, I'm leaning over. This is rivalry game, and yeah, has the potential to see a lot of points here.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm gonna stay away from the total, but I just think that Auburn's in a good spot to cover. Alabama has covered some big spreads against Auburn in the past year. I just think that like if this is a time that Auburn's gonna cover, something like this, I think they can definitely do it. They're no slouch of a team. I mean, it's still Auburn, Alabama, so any rivalry game has the potential to be closer than it even needs to be. So I like Auburn to cover on the 22 there in Tuscaloosa. And we've got a game that we didn't – I know that most would not have thought anything of this game. It's a yearly rivalry game. It's going to be down in Nashville. It's a night game they get. And, back-to-back conference wins for Vandy is got everybody at least, turning their heads a little bit. And after Tennessee's debacle last week in Columbia, it's very interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how it's still very, very possible that Milton, the backup for Hendon Hooker, comes in and just lights up Vandy anyway. But, like, Vandy has now beaten two SEC teams in a row with Kentucky and Florida. So, with a Tennessee team that is kind of reeling, it's interesting to see what might happen. Now, of course, Tennessee may just take out all their frustrations on a missed out season on the poor Commodores, but I'm curious to see what you have to say.
Yeah, this one's kind of perplexing. I mean, obviously Tennessee pre-Hendon Hooker injury and pretty much like debacle this past week, they were like almost, I don't want to say shooing, but like they were pretty set. Like I think we both mentioned it. We thought they would have a very good shot at the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Now that ain't happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, they still have a lot of playmakers, like
Uh-huh.
in the wide receiver core and in the backfield. So, like this is a great situation for the backup to come in and potentially like really have a big making a name for himself. Like, okay, you have a lot of NFL talent around you to throw the ball and hand the ball off to. So can he do that with this group around him? Probably. I think it's a game with too many variables for me. I'm just interested to see how it plays out. So I don't really have a side here.
Yeah, I was just curious more about what you had to say. Like I feel like the massive public, perception is everybody's gonna be on Vandy. I heard that the Tennessee fans were trying to check her out Vandy Stadium. So there's going to be some, at least it's in Vanderbilt now. I mean, that's never meant much. In most games in Vandy, the other team has more fans than Vandy does. But now it's going to be a little bit different. You said the same thing. I can't say I have something really big in this game. I just more was for conversational, tie. It's just more interesting games of the weekend. And of course, Georgia goes down to Athens to play. We have Georgia Tech and Athens. We're 35 and a half point favorites. For anybody out there, Georgia Tech does win the triple option, and the triple option is ridiculous. So expect them to at least get some points against us. But I'm not saying what to do with that. I'm just kind of putting that out there. You ready, Joe? We have two NFL games, at least as we have right now. You ready to jump into that, Connor?
Let's do it.
Cool. So we got this is a game. This is a spot that I really like for some reason. The Bengals -2.5 against the Titans. They're playing at Nissan Stadium. There's some favorable. There's some public money coming in on the Titans here, and I just am really liking the Bengals. To get it done here. They've won their last two, including beating the Steelers and the Panthers. Nothing too crazy, but they've had a pretty. They're still trying to stay playoff eligible. Bengals have won three of the last four between them and the Titans. And yeah, as far as that, I don't know. I just really like the Bengals in the spot. I think that, even without Jamar Chase, you still have Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and a nice set of offensive weapons to get it done here. And it's sort of just a matter of limiting Derrick Henry up front. I'm not calling the Titans one dimensional, but I mean, they need a receiver. They still have, what I mean? It's Robert Woods is really their only guy to me. So I at this time I like the Bengals and this, less than a field goal spread here.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me, and I know we kind of harped on it a lot last year. Joe Mixon played, or it's like kind of the same thing with the Browns and the Bengals last year. Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb play, they have a great shot to win the game. Joe Mixon left last week's matchup with a concussion. So what does that mean for this week? Does he play? Do they rest him up? Like, will he even be allowed to play given the concussion he suffered?
Fair point.
That remains to be seen. And like without Jamar Chase, okay, you're missing your top two weapons for Joe Burrow. Okay, Samaje Perine had 2 touchdowns in their game. When was it, on Sunday? So that, I mean, but can you really, like, without Mixon, can you really rely on him to kind of carry the load and then like take a little bit of pressure off Joe Burrow slinging the rock to like an already decimated team as far as like top end talent? So I'll be a little bit square here. I'm taking the Titans plus the points at home. This could be Treylon Burks coming out party here for the Titans, where they actually get another wide receiver other than Robert Woods. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out here. And yeah, that's really all I got.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Mixon being hurt because I guess I didn't make myself aware of that. I might. I don't know if I'm going to flip, onto the Titans, but it could get interesting. I might leave myself with a lean on the Bengals just because I feel like the Bengals, the public money goes heavy on the Titans, I can still see the people down in the Bengals and the Bengals still getting it done. So we'll have to see. I might have to reevaluate that one going forward. Now this last guy right here, unless we have anything else, I like the Colts -2.5 against the Steelers over under 39. I think that this is actually a decent spot for the rejuvenated Colts. I think they kind of got screwed against the Eagles last week. They had the Eagles, were possibly the top team in the league on their heels. The Colts defense is nothing you got something you got to be aware of. Jonathan Taylor's finding his stride. Now, obviously, you can't ever doubt the Steelers, but this is in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. I don't know, man. I think I just like the Colts here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the Steelers O line is going to be like a little bit thin going to this matchup, which will spell trouble for Kenny Pickett and Najee Harris, who's kind of surging as of late. So without, I think it's center and one of the guards, like that'll be difficult to really protect their young quarterback and also like really shoe up some holes and like give Najee Harris a lot of room to run the ball. The Colts have a legitimate defense. They held Philly to 17 points this past week and nearly squeaked out a W, easily covering there. Pittsburgh has kind of a poor secondary, so this should afford some opportunities to Pittman and Campbell to kind of go off there. I know Pittman going off will be huge for my fantasy squads, but yeah, I think this is another time when we're rolling with Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, I think you gotta. I mean, they didn't win last week, but they did cover. You know what I mean? And the Steelers are. I think you just need to give the squad I think next year they'll be way better off. With Kenny Pickett being fully integrated into you know what I mean, being fully ready to go. I like the Colts. Yeah, I definitely like the Colts there. I know we made it short, folks, but Connor, do you have any other games you want to talk about before we get out of here? I know the World Cup, the USA game is now underway and it's still 0-0.
No, that's really it. I think a lot of good games yesterday, so kind of covered all the ones that are worth mentioning.
All right, then I want to make sure to remind everybody to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to show love down below. We've got a lot of great stuff coming out, stuff that's come out so far. Check us out on Spotify. Check us out, our website, our blogs at pickinwinners.org. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. I hope that everybody is so far having a great holiday weekend and continues to have a great holiday weekend. Hope that everybody has a happy, healthy, and safe weekend of gambling. We out.